Over a decade ago, Polaris invented the sports side-by-side segment with the Razer XP1000. 10 years later, they completely redesigned that rig. Behind me is that redesign, and specifically the 2025 Razer XP4 Ultimate. Now this rig is the most expensive model in the Razer XP line. It's got 4 seats, it's got 114 horsepower, a 4,500 pound winch, ride command, and a banging Rockford Fosgate stereo. Now, the Razer XP isn't designed for high-speed dune running or hardcore rock crawling. Its charm comes from being a usable UTV with decent ride quality, good comfort, and enough power to get you in and out of trouble without much hassle. Should you buy one of these things? To help you out, we're gonna give you 5 things we love about it, 5 things we hate about it, and at the end, we're gonna tell you who exactly this rig is for. The first thing we love about the 2025 XP4 Ultimate is the size. Now, as you can see, it's a 4-seater, but it feels just as nimble on the trail as a 2-seater, you know, aside from a few 3-point turns here and there. Now, that's kind of a middle-of-the-road size, but anyone who's driven on tires bigger than this knows that sizes about 32 to 35s can be very clunky on the trail. And these 30-inch tires are a slight upgrade from the 29-inch tires you get on the sport trim. It's also only 64 inches wide, where most other sport side-by-sides can get all the way up to 72 inches. That means you can take it on just about any trail. Want to go riding with your buddies on ATVs? Good news, this thing can hang with them. The second thing we love about this rig are the seats. Now, not only are they comfortable, you know, you can spend all day with them without getting tired, without them beating you up, but take a look at these back seats. This rig features stadium seating, which means that your passengers aren't just going to be staring at a headrest the entire ride. They can actually see the trail, actually prepare for obstacles, and you know, that just helps them brace a little bit, and that keeps them from getting bored on the trail. They can actually see the stuff around them. Plus, they're green. They're color matched to the rig. That's a win in our books. The third thing we love is this cargo bed. Now, it can hold 300 pounds, and if you take a look in here, it is deep. That means that no matter what you put back here, supplies, coolers, food, drink, whatever you need, it can go back here and you can rest assured that it'll be safe. Most of the time you don't even need to strap it down. We were out here all day testing it with our camera gear in the back, no straps or anything, and it was perfectly fine. Polaris also offers tons of additional accessories that fit right down in here. You want a covered storage option? You can have that. It's just a giant box that slides right down in here and all your stuff is covered and dry. The fourth thing we love about the 2025 Razer XP4 Ultimate is how many tie-down points it has. Now, the most annoying part of riding side-by-sides is strapping them to a trailer and towing them to the off-road park. The Razer XP makes that extremely easy. You have these 2 on the bumper, about 3 underneath each wheel well, and a tow hook on the back so that straps can go over the tires. If you've had any other rig, you know how annoying it is to find a place to strap it down, especially if you have a non-conventional trailer, and this makes that a breeze. And as always, the 5th thing we love is ride command. You can monitor your rig, you have navigation, you can connect to your phone and play music through the Rockford Fosgate stereo. It's really the industry standard. There's nothing else like it on the market, and with millions of trails mapped, there's really nothing else like it on the market. Sure, you can use Onyx or whatever trail app you use, but it's all right here. We're at Windrock Park right now, and it's got every bit of this map. It has our exact location right here, tells us how difficult certain trails are, and can even map the route that we've taken today. You are never really off grid with Ride Command. It can tell you exactly where you're at all times. And the user interface is actually usable. No clunky menus to go through, just these buttons that tell you exactly what each one does. And we're gonna give you an honorable mention, and that is how many accessories this thing has. From the parts that come on the Ultimate trim, like this winch, the Rockford Fosgate stereo, and Ride Command, to the optional accessories in Polaris's catalog. We've already talked about the covered cargo bed that you can add on, but if you look at this roll cage, it's flat, and that's for seamless installation of a windshield. There's no gaps and no mud getting in. Different bumpers, tire packages, roofs, anything you need, the Polaris accessory catalog has you covered. If you are liking this video, do me a favor, go down below, hit the like button, hit subscribe. If you're liking what you're seeing, leave us a comment. If you don't like what we're saying, also leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you would buy a rig. It really helps our channel out and lets our bosses know that we're doing a good job. Now it's time for 5 things we hate about the 2025 Polaris RZR XP4 Ultimate. Now the first thing we hate about this rig is the power. Now we don't specifically hate the 114 horsepower that comes out of this ProStar engine. That's kind of the industry standard. Most sports side-by-sides fall in the 100 to 130 horsepower range. It is 20 less horsepower than the cheapest Can-Am X3. The problem comes from when you want to step up from the Razer XP. The next most powerful Razer Razer is the Pro XP, which makes 181 horsepower through a turbocharged twin. That is a huge jump in horsepower. 114 to 181 is almost 67 horsepower jump, and that is massive in a side-by-side. That's 3 Kubota RTVs. If you've been driving side-by-sides for a while or spent a lot of time in this rig, that might not be that big of a deal. But if you've only spent about like 6 months to a year in this thing and think you're ready, you might be in for a big surprise when you get that extra power and find out that you're not quite there yet. Now again, we think 114 horsepower is fine. It gets down the trail just fine. It's not a slouch and can keep up with your buddies, but we would like a middle of the road option, or just put more horsepower in the Ultimate trim. The second thing we hate about this rig are the doors. Now, they look fine. They're half doors, so you're not gonna get any mud down at your feet, but watch what happens when I try to close it. Exactly. This latch is super flimsy, and sometimes the door even comes unlatched when you're coming down the trail. That's just not something you should have to think about when you buy a side-by-side. On top of that, the door opens with these confusing push-button handles. Now, we shouldn't have to tell you why that's annoying. You know, you expect a handle on the outside or even a pull tab on the inside, but no, just these buttons. And if you look at these door handles, they may look like storage options, but they're not. This little crevice goes all the way down to the bottom of the door. If you put something like your car keys in the door, it's gonna go all the way down to the bottom. That means that you'll have to take the door off and take it apart to get to your keys. It's just not something you should have to worry about on a side-by-side. The third thing we hate, no harnesses. As you can see, you only get 3-point inertia reel belts on this rig. We shouldn't have to tell you why that's a bad thing. This is the top dog Ultimate trim, and you still don't get harnesses. $28,000 for a side-by-side and no harnesses? That's a little bit ridiculous. And that goes past just simple features. At this point, it's a safety thing. Polaris knows that people are going to be abusing these things. They're going to be getting into trouble. And when that happens, they need something that can actually keep them inside the rig. The aftermarket is already full of harness options for this, and there's no reason why Polaris shouldn't have added it from the factory. And the fourth thing we hate, this is the Ultimate trim. That's $5,000 more than the base sport model. And for that $5,000, you get a winch, ride command, Rockford Fosgate stereo, and tires that are about an inch bigger than the sport model. Does that seem like $5,000 worth of stuff to you? Like we've said, we'd like to see a little bit more options for the Ultimate trim. We'd like harnesses, we'd like more power, we'd like better suspension. I mean, this thing gets the same Walker Evans needle shocks that the sport model does. The exact same suspension for $5,000 more. And even these tires, we love a 30-inch tire, but 31 or 32-inch tires would do it some good on tougher obstacles. Some could argue that $5,000 isn't that big of a jump in the side-by-side world, but we beg to differ. All the add-ons you get for the Ultimate trim could all be options in the accessories catalog. There's nothing on this rig that I can't do myself. Some could think that these add-ons are worth it. You know, a winch is nice, the stereo's nice, ride command is nice, but we don't think it's worth $28,000. And the fifth thing we hate, and we're gonna get a little bit nitpicky here, it's these drain holes. As you can see, this is a giant bed. Whether you're on the trail or just washing this after a trail ride, it stores water. And this is the only drain hole in the bed. There's nothing towards the front, so if you're parked on a hill, you just have to spray it and hope it goes into this drain hole. The worst thing about it is that that's one of the most easily fixable problems that we have with this rig. All you have to do is drill another drain hole, or two, in the front. And it doesn't even stop with the bed. The same thing with the front and rear floorboards. The only drains are in the rear. That means you have to spend an afternoon spraying it down and hoping that all the dirty water goes out. And again, that's nitpicky. It's not a huge deal, but it is annoying, and it's just something Polaris should have thought about when designing this rig. Now, we're gonna tell you exactly who this rig is for. This is for the beginner off-roader, somebody who's new to side-by-sides, want to experiment, and want something that can actually keep up with their friends. Now, there's plenty of options out there for beginners that want something a little bit more tame than this, but this thing is just as capable as you allow it to be. Beginners and veterans alike will enjoy this side-by-side, which means as you get better at off-roading, as you get better at wheeling this thing, it's going to grow with you, and you're going to understand it more. There's a reason why the Razer XP1000 was the most popular side-by-side for ever, really, and that's because it's just about perfect for every kind of riding style. This is the everyman side-by-side. It's got plenty of power, it's affordable, and just look at it. It looks great. This is the top of the line 4-seat Ultimate Edition, which means it's the most expensive at $28,000. That's cheaper than some 2-seat models. So if you want something that won't break the bank, has plenty of power to keep up with your friends, and will last you through your entire off-road journey, this rig might be for you. Thank you so much for watching. That has been 5 things we love and 5 things we hate about the 2025 Razer XP4 Ultimate. If you like what you saw, go down below, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and comment on this video. When you're done with that, head over to utvdriver.com where we have news, reviews, buyer's guides 5 days a week. Then head over to our socials. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook 7 days a week. And stay right here for a video every other Sunday. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you out on the trails.